Earlier this week, the Ministry of Education and Sports issued out results of Senior 4 students. And a lot was said. There is so much confusion when it comes to the grading. And today I got the opportunity to be with one of those students that sat for their exams last year. He's going to be taking us through this whole grading. What does it mean? How are they grading? How are the points doing? Rukia Riyad is my name, and don't forget, this is your diaries. Good to see you.
My name is Sebunnya Hamzah Ahmed. I've been a student at Madina Islamic Secondary School in Sanji Katereke. I'm currently a vacist who has sat for their UCE examinations.
Okay, so, Hamza, we need to understand the points that were issued, because most of us know the points of D, like D1, D2, something like that. And when we see these results, we see they're having A, B, C, D, and maybe E. So can you break it down for us, people that don't know, including me myself, because I really, really don't know what those points stand for?
All right. So you see, the new curriculum, in fact, the Ministry of Education and Sport has changed a lot in the education system currently. And for the very many things that have actually changed, we have the grading system as well. I think the one we're talking about right now. So we have transitioned from a period where kids are now assessed by divisions. For example, that a kid who scores who has achieved the best in the UCA examinations are graded under Division 1. I think these are things that UNEB has strongly eradicated, and now we are no longer having that sort of grading system. But what happens right now is that UNEB is trying to necessarily put up a room or a space where kids are actually now graded by their competences. What have they achieved, but not what they are actually getting in the UCE examinations. So grades like A, B, and C don't look like divisions, but these are levels of competence that kids necessarily achieve out of their examination. And these levels of competences are not only accompanied by what kids are writing in the examinations. These things have been enveloped by a number of factors. These things that look like project work, things like group discussions, co-curricular activities that come along as a room of assessment, and they compile them to necessarily give you these grades. Unlike the UCE examinations from previous years, where they were solidly graded based on what they write in their examinations. What happens now is that these kids are actually assessed from various rooms, various factors, and they compile them to now give them competences according to what they have written in their examinations. Yeah. So what happens is that A doesn't actually, of course, very many kids are having A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Those ones are not grades like I told you, but these ones are probably levels of competence. What A means is that when a kid achieves A, or when a kid gets A in that UNEB examinations or paper, that means that these kids have gotten actually a high level of competence. These kids have actually put in high levels of creativity, innovation to necessarily achieve. It means that when someone gets A, they have actually gotten an outstanding level, an exceptional level of competence, and they're fit to necessarily go in the outside world. When someone gets a B...
hold on. When you talk about A, do we have a max that maybe it's 80 to 90 or 100 to...
Yes, there is a ranging that UNEB necessarily uses to issue out those sort of grades to the kids. Because, there is a grading, for example, now UNEB can say, depending on what they have decided and how kids have passed, that from 80 to maybe 90, now that kid gets an A. You see, because we have been doing exams that have been graded out of 3, because all of our work that we have been doing has been out of 3. That's the total score. So we have been, most of the times, been graded in averages, from 0 to 3. So when you get from 2.6 to 3, that means that you're qualified to get A. That is an outstanding. From probably 2.4 to 2.5, someone qualifies to get a B. That is the grade and the scale that you have been grading through.
Okay, so when you talk about the grading, us, 5 years ago, we were being graded in 8 in 8. So when it comes to your new curriculum, how do you guys do it? Do you still have 8 in 8 or?
we no longer have grading, like 8 in 8, Division 1, or any sort of like that. But what we have right now are results. Like, that's why in most of the transcripts that actually UNEB issued out, or for most people that check their examinations, most of them have result 1, most of them have result 2, 3, and 4. What these results indicate is that it doesn't entirely mean that when a kid gets a result 1, that they have entirely passed UNEB or they have gotten Division 1, like most narratives are in society right now. But when a kid gets result 1, it simply means that they have qualified to get UNEB UCE certificate. That means they've actually fulfilled all conditions that are necessary for acquiring the UCE certificate. So when someone gets like result 1, it doesn't entirely mean that they're in Division 1, but it simply means they've satisfied the conditions that require them to get the UCE certificate. Yeah.
So so we are, like we said earlier, we are seeing result 1. Most of the students are actually having result 1. Does that mean it's just one result all? There is like we used to see Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 in our old curriculum. Do you have more results, like result 1, result 2, result 3?
Yes, actually, results are like outcomes. Like, they're like outcomes. They're no longer like grades or divisions, but they're simply outcomes of what you necessarily achieved in your UCE levels.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of them. We have result 1, result 2, 3, and 4. So when someone qualifies for result 1, it simply means that they have satisfied the conditions for getting the UCE certificate. And these conditions are probably many. It's not like if you sit for the paper that you now qualify to get the certificate. No, because they compile around project work, because kids have been doing several projects in their schools. So they compile project work. That's why that when you actually check examinations, they bring for you project work either C, B, or A, and then they actually give you result 1. So these are some of the conditions that are required for you to necessarily get that result. So when you get 1, it doesn't mean you're in Division 1, but it means that you've simply satisfied the conditions for getting the UCE certificate. However, we have things like result 2, 3, and 4. When a learner gets a result 2, it simply means that these learners might have done the examinations, but there are some things that they never fulfilled. Actually, people who get results 2, most likely, if they're going to continue with higher levels of education, probably go to senior 5 or 6, they're most definitely like advised to repeat that sort of like then senior 4. Why? Because it means that they don't qualify to get the UCE certificate.
When someone gets result 2.
Yeah, when someone gets a result 2, it means that these learners don't qualify for the UCE certificate, and they're most definitely advised to repeat if they want to continue with higher levels of education. But if these kids are probably going to branch off to things like vocational schools, they can go with result 2, because it actually shows that you didn't achieve most of the conditions that are required for you to get the UCE certificate, but at least you wrote exams, and that's why you're getting the result 2. But there are things like result 3 and 4. When you get result 3, it simply means that you might have not written exams, but you were in school. You might have done project work that also amounted to your assessment. But there are a lot of things that you never did. So that means that someone who gets 3 and 4 are probably kids who were not in school, missed exams, or missed some sort of like important document.
Okay. So when did the new curriculum begin?
The new curriculum began in 2020.
Meaning it began with your...
Yeah, it began with people who had sat for PLE in 2019.
So how has this new curriculum been so far with you people?
To be honest, the new curriculum hasn't been an easy run, because you see that we are the pioneers of the curriculum. This has been something new with us. So the journey hasn't entirely been simple. But within that process, we got used to it, we appreciated it, and we embraced it. The new curriculum has been very challenging and it has been having systematic challenges mostly, because you're going to see that it now requires a lot of things. It's not like you're going to go to school with books, pens, and you study. This curriculum has changed a lot of systematic things. A kid has to access internet. A kid has to have things like extra things, like, because there are extracurriculars that we do, football club, debate club. So you have to have all those resources, you get. So it has changed a lot in terms of system, but also accepting it and allowing it, the grading, because most of the teachers have been having problems assessing kids themselves. So it has been quite challenging, but we have came through it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the subjects in this new curriculum. Are there subjects that were dropped when this new curriculum came into existence, or subjects were remained the same and instead they just added in some other projects maybe?
I think the subjects remained constant. We
Okay.
didn't have any additional subjects according to the previous
And they didn't
years.
even remove any.
They didn't remove, but I think what they only did is that there was some of irrelevant content that was existing in the subjects themselves that was eradicated from new curriculum. That is the only content they removed, but subjects remained constant. Yeah.
So how did you perform?
Like, okay, now that question is quite challenging because I cannot say that I got division one, but I
Yeah.
got result one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got result
I
one.
got result one.
And when it comes to the grading, how, like, because we are saying A, B, C, did you get B, what? How was the grading?
We did 9 subjects. One is an option, and 8 are compulsory. I think I achieved an A in English, and then the rest of the other subjects I scored Bs.
Okay, so because you said this new curriculum began in your year and you guys are the pioneers, what are some of those challenges you can pick out and be like, okay, in this new curriculum, this and this was really hard on us?
The challenges are quite many, but most of them, like I said earlier, were systematic challenges. The infrastructure to implement the curriculum itself was the biggest challenge. Like schools had to necessarily restretch their structures to provide more room for new curriculum students. Like we needed more room for research. And schools probably had only one library, and it couldn't be fit for all like the kids in the school. So they need to restretch, get more school libraries, get more books for new curriculum, because the other books that existed within the libraries were not supporting the curriculum itself. The content was old, so they needed to restretch, buy more books, fix more infrastructure for kids to fit in the curriculum, like to reschedule their timetables to fix more time for new curriculum kids, because they have different schedules and different activities, like co-curriculars that are not in line within the school schedule itself. The other challenges are the teachers themselves in most schools, and most like out of urban schools, probably schools that are in rural, I think they got a lot of challenges because the teachers still needed coaching on how to understand and implement the curriculum itself. Like even the schools that we've been in the first years of the establishment of the curriculum itself, I think we had a lot of problems. Teachers thought that this curriculum is entirely kids, like entirely the efforts have to be for the kids themselves because it's called learners compete, like it's highly learners based, right? But those challenges were like very, very hard on us because even us, we didn't understand the curriculum by then. So teachers come into classroom, they just give you activities of integration and they march out, no describing anything, no explaining nothing. So you have to take it as an initiative for yourself and try to find out what you have to necessarily have. So these are the challenges that we've been having, even in assessment itself. They give you marks, you don't really understand them, you miss out this, you miss out that, then you're going for good.
So because you said earlier they didn't drop any subjects, other subjects that we used to do, you continued with them.
Yes.
And I need to know, and someone out there who is watching, what projects were added in the new curriculum?
Okay. In the subject, on subject level, like they didn't add any additional subjects, but they introduced other out of class much things like project work.
And we need to know what kind of project work was introduced in this curriculum.
In every subject that we do, there is a project that at least learners have to necessarily do. At least a learner, to qualify for a UCE certificate, they have to have achieved or done any sort of like project in any subject, in any theme they want or any topic they want. So you find out that in physics, you have to do a project to be graded in physics. In mathematics, you have to do a project. It is up to the learner or to the class teacher to identify what are you going to do in mathematics, which project are you going to do, and then you do it, and then you become graded.
Okay. So you, as a student of Medina Islamic Senior Secondary School, what can you tell me and a person out there who's watching? What made you pass with flying colors?
There are a lot of numbers that contributed to my success as an individual. Some of them are personal, some of them are contributional factors. But I think what made me pass highly, The biggest thanks go to my school itself. I think my school, even though the curriculum was new, it tried to necessarily create infrastructure and room for us to become convenient into the curriculum itself. Then the other factors that made me pass were like consistency, hard work, and probably, yeah, esteem that made me pass. Yes.
So are you joining A level?
Yes, I'm going to join A level.
Now, what kind of combination is in your mind? What combination do you want to do at A level?
For my entire secondary life, I think even primary life, I've been always wanting to do science because at home, they want us to be doctors or people who have probably run sciences.
But do you want it? Because there is a difference between someone wanting it and you wanting it. Do you want it?
I think I like it.
You don't think, do you?
I want it.
You want it?
Yes.
Okay, so now, what message do you have for your teachers? Because I think they had a milestone they put onto your passing. What message do you have for them?
The message, okay, I have a lot of message for them, but I think the first message would be a thank you to them because our teachers have really been there for us throughout the whole entire process, throughout the journey. They have been there with us, taught us, and they've given us the necessary requirements to necessarily become what we are or pass like this highly. You find out that in many schools where kids are right now, very many schools gave up on them entirely because of the struggles that we mentioned earlier. Books, money, economy has been down. But our teachers have been there for us even in the last days. They've given us the necessary facilitations to necessarily pass. Yeah, I think the only message I can give to them would be a thank you.
Okay, so and to your parents, because I know they took you to a school that made you pass.
The message I have to my parents, it is highly endless because these people have been there for me from the first step to the last step, and they're still here with me. These are people. Okay, new curriculum is really, really very stretching for parents. You ask for this today, tomorrow you ask for project fee, today you ask for DTT, today you ask for probably club fee, tomorrow you ask for books because you're a candidate. And these are things that my parents have been able to provide for me without asking second questions because they trust me, they believe in me, and they've been able to provide these things for me, and that's, I guess, one of the contributing factors to my success.
Well, so and the students out there at large, there are those who have dropped out of school. Maybe they just hate school, and there are those who are not even in position to go back to school because maybe of school fees, maybe some got pregnant. There are many, 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 many things that have. What message do you have for those people out there that take education for granted?
Okay, for people who take education for granted.
Because when COVID hit in, a lot of students dropped out of school. Some were like, no, we are going to look for money. And even today, society has made these young people believe that education is not important. As long as you have the money, you can, you can get anything. So tell the people out there what is good about education.
Actually, education, it's the benefits of education as a subject are entirely visible in society. I think someone who has been in education and has passed through an education system, they're not like the same. They're not the same with someone who has actually not gone through the education process. One might argue that, it's the same out there. People have money when they've not been in school, but that is like luck, and you cannot solely depend on that for you not to go in school, because since we are talking about numbers, people who have become successful out of school are more than people who have not going to school. But the advice that I have for people who probably take education for granted, this is not like a very good thing for you to necessarily go. And with this type of generation that is evolving each day, people are necessarily looking at papers, what can you show on the table? And these are chances that people who have not been in school don't have. I would like to also thank the Ministry of Education for trying to bring in this new curriculum, because this curriculum, it doesn't look on how you're going to perform in class. It doesn't really stretch you to that level of getting only good grades. This is like a highly competent curriculum that anyone with any special skill can necessarily become someone important in society. They can be able to make money. And for us who have been in good schools, where we have taken things like projects seriously. In vacations, these are the same things that we have been doing. It is nothing it's nothing near to examinations. It's nothing near to education. But these are skills we have actually gained from our projects that we have been doing in vacation to get some money. Things like plumbing, things like tailoring, making like furniture, and all those things that don't necessarily require you to have education, but you necessarily earn money out of society, which I think it is the best thing. But you cannot be able to get these skills again when you're outside school. So the whole idea for new curriculum is to give everyone out there a chance, as long as you give it a chance, you get. So people who probably take education for granted, that is a narcissism behavior that isn't actually anywhere good. But if they have the ability to be in school, because however we want to be in school, the people who don't have the chance because of financial constraints, we pray those ones God give them the ability to be in school. But if someone has the ability to be in school and they have the finance to be in school, it should be the first priority.
Okay, so we all have our favorite teachers in school. Can you point out some of your teachers that you like and why?
Okay. Personally, I'm not a person of teacher person.
Yeah, but I know there is always that someone.
But I think if I'm going to give remarks and maybe a thank you to any of the teachers that have been in my school, that is probably going to be my math teacher.
Oh.
He is called Mr. Mark. He's called Mr. Chisache Mark. I think I'm going to give him the thank you because, you see, this curriculum, when we reached in probably Form 4, we had a lot of backlash in mathematics because we reached in Form 4 when I was still handling senior to third term work. Yet we are already a candidate. So you can see the backlog. Yeah. But this is the man that entirely was there for us. He could actually even come to us on days that we're not supposed to have studies. This is the man that could embed other teachers' lessons and give you something, pushed us forward. Most likely, we had some teachers that always like, okay, they discourage you, teachers that don't speak good of you, you get. But these are teachers that were really out there for us. And yeah, he's been there for us. That's why I will give him thank you.
Okay, so yes, thank you for watching. We've been with Hamzah. Say what?
Sebunnya Hamzah.
Sebunnya Hamzah. He's a student from Medina Islamic Senior Secondary School, and he is a vacist. He has just sat his UCE exams. He has been taking us through this whole grading because many of us are so blue, are so yellow about it. So you've heard what he has said, and we are really, really humbled for you to be watching. So kindly like, subscribe, comment, share, and follow. Bye-bye.